Hi everyone, welcome back to the Tennis Coach App project. I've got some interesting news. I'm super excited about this. There's been a bit of a pivot. I'm trying to focus now on serves instead of ground strokes. And to explain why, I'm just going to kind of like run you through and remind you of a bit of what we've done so far. So, currently you can come to a video. We have quite a number of videos, but I'm navigating to this Alcaraz video. I can play the video. I can go to a ball contact point. So there's a ground stroke, forehand ground stroke, and we already have the elbow angle calculated to the extent that's useful. And I can also analyze the rotation, right? So we see over here that this analyzes the rotation around the contact point. So it creates that window of when you start to prepare and then basically coil yourself and then unwind to generate power into the ball, right? So I want to go through this so much because I've already explained that in the other video. But one of the things that I realized is that there is a bigger potential and opportunity with doing something similar for serves. Now, the reason why, and I'm quickly going to show you a Sinner video. The reason why is that in as much as serves are a very technical part of tennis, they are also quite predictable, right? What's happening is that you have a ball in one hand, you have your racket in the other, you throw the ball up into the air, and then you basically smash it with your racket on a very basic level. There are other technical aspects. With a ground stroke, you could argue the same thing, but it sometimes can be quite reactionary, right? If somebody gives you a short ball, you're not really going to start coiling and uncoiling and generating that power. You're just trying to get the ball in to the other side of the court. So you have a lot of reactions. You don't control how the ball is coming to you, whereas in a tennis serve, you do control that. You basically have a lot more control of the path and the trajectory of the ball when you are initiating a serve. There's also optimal camera position. So most of the time, if you're recording yourself for solo drills, you have the ability to keep the camera right behind you, either behind the fence or you can have it around you. And I see that a lot more people are doing this. They have like these tripods and they're recording themselves with phones for solo drills and just practicing serves. They'll spend about 30 minutes on the court practicing serves, and you have the opportunity with a lot more solo drills. You don't need a hitting partner to do rallies. So I think there's a big opportunity, like a slightly bigger market in that sense. And I think also more people are just willing to record themselves practicing solo versus a match play. You might have a partner that's not very comfortable with being recorded, especially when you're playing a match sometimes. And I think finally you also have relatively more iterations, right? So if I'm doing a serve drill practice, I can, pick up as many balls as possible and probably have quite a number of hits within a minute. Anyway, so that's the reasons for the serve. I'm going to show you a couple of designs just in a second, some Figma designs I came up with, which I think are going to be quite interesting. What I did with this video, just to quickly test ball tracking for the serve, was just to do tennis ball tracking on this video. It's quite good. So this is not just ball detection, is I'm tracking the same ball over subsequent frames. You see that it loses sometimes, and I could do some interpolation. But you could also do some smart things like if you assume that the ball is always in the other hand, and you can track the position of the hand on frames, you can probably do some interpolation that way. So basically, what happens, like I said before, you're basically just throwing the ball, but the ball is going to be on hand for a bit, and then you release the ball up into the air. The ball goes as high as it's needed, and you smash it. So you have the contact over there. Now the ball was out of frame in this video. Now what I'm going to do is go into the design and run you through. Well, let's actually go back. Run you through what is going to happen, right? So I've decided to calculate the ball toss part. I think that's quite interesting, and give two main metrics: the toss height and the elbow angle. Something a lot of recreational players struggle with is the appropriate toss height. I struggle with this myself, and then that gets compensated by my elbows being bent and not being straight, but you want to be able to kind of like get more direction and power into the other side of the court when you have the ball tossed a bit higher. And the idea for this design is that we can do that for multiple serves within one video. So let's see how it works, right? Obviously, you upload your video, but let's assume that we have a video already uploaded. This is just a design, so I don't actually have a video here. But the idea is that you would have multiple serves within a video. You can navigate between different serves. And as you navigate, look on the right side, you start to see all this ball toss trajectory. So, for example, you can see in this serve, the balls, started from 100 centimeters. Because remember, the ball toss doesn't start from the ground. It actually starts from around either the knees or the hip, anywhere between that. This is where the release happened, and basically you have the ball contact happen here. So the ball came up a bit, came down, and it happened here. Now, the interesting thing with the design, thinking about this design a bit more, was that I wanted, to have users have the option of whether they wanted to focus more on the analysis or focus more on the video. And I'm going to enlarge this in a second, but just to quickly run you through some of the other controls, right? You can easily navigate between previous and next serves. I can also use keyboard shortcuts. I can also loop over a serve, right? So once this is toggled on and I play, that's just going to loop over that particular part of the serve. So I just want to maybe focus on that particular serve as I'm reading some of the analysis on the right side. And you can do the same for any of the other serves. I have capped it at 10 because I just want to loop it up to a maximum of 10 times. And you get some measurements like ball toss height is about 300 centimeters. If we look at serve 2, we see that the ball toss height was a bit lower. It was also out. It doesn't necessarily mean that was the cause. And then you can also, and it is going to be different for each user, but you can also have a target zone, right? So when you toss the ball, you want to have it about 300 centimeters off of the ground. Now, if we focus on, so we can just click on V to focus more on the analysis, right? So in this case, let's actually look at serve 1, right? And this is kind of like what I was talking about in understanding how the serve works, right? Basically, it starts from around the hips or the knees. The ball gets released at this point. Then, in this case, this serve was the ball contact. The racket had contact with the ball just on the rise. When it was at its highest, and it was kind of like in the target zone that we have given ourselves for this specific user. Now, there's a detailed graph I'm trying to look at, and this is really only possible if you have the camera right behind the player, right? Not similar to the Yannick Sinner video I was showing you. Sometimes you have the ball being thrown a bit offset to the right or to the left, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed player. And if it's offset a bit more to the right, sometimes you might have some issues. So sometimes you would have you would have it kind of like come all the way here, and then hitting it is going to be a problem to be able to get it to the other side of the court. So I just kind of like included that. It might not be something I would start with first, but these are some options, and thinking a lot more about the design. Then finally, within your session overview, you can see aggregations of your serves across the entire video, right? So you're not just looking at one specific serve. Now, if you're doing a serve drill practice, you might end up bringing a video with possibly maybe about 50 serves. You start to go a lot more than that, and you might be injuring your shoulders. But this happens, right? You have people come back with a video of like 100 serves in just practicing. And we want to be able to see over time within a specific video, but also over time over multiple videos, whether there's been some progress, right? And right now, my hypothesis is starting with ball toss height. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. There's a lot more technical aspect of the serve that people should focus on, but wanted to start this way. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to implement all of this within. This is just a design. I'm going to implement a lot of this within the current application and see what we can get from that. But I'm excited about this design. I'm excited about being a bit more intentional about allowing people to view and analyze their own selves, and giving them a bit more information, not just metrics, but information here. Now, one of the other things I could not show, just because it's a design, was some of the annotations that would happen within the serve. I think that's going to be some very interesting possibilities there. What I had before was to have the annotations and write it to a new video file. So you can't really do much with it. I think moving forward, I might just have those annotations stored, so we would have the coordinates in the video stored so that we can do a lot more dynamic uh, video animations on in the front end. So I'm gonna pause here. This is exciting stuff, and I hope we can start to see this within the application, and upload a couple of videos and see what it looks like.